Hello, my dear students. Today we are also going to discuss about the Indian agriculture, and in which we are going to discuss about the beverage crops that are tea and coffee. So, we are learning the chapter 17, and in which we are going to describe the climatic condition, soil requirement, method of cultivation, processing and distribution of tea and coffee. So, let's begin. So, firstly, here we see that tea and coffee is a beverage crop. So, here is the word beverage. So, what do you mean by beverage? The liquid that is consumed in excluding the water. So, except water, any type of liquid that is consumed is called as beverage. So, here tea and coffee is including in the beverage crop in India, which are grown on plantation. So, what do you mean by plantation? The plantation agriculture involve monoculture of the tropical crop on the commercial line using the new scientific technique. So, here we see the word monoculture. So, here what do you mean by monoculture? The cultivation of the single crop in a temperate region between the subtropics and the polar region. So, a single crop that are grown in an area is called as monoculture, and monoculture of the tropical crops for the commercial line, that is it is used as a commercial crop or commercial purpose in by using the new scientific techniques. Now, in India, it was introduced by the Europeans to meet the growing demand of the tropical crop in the temperate land. So, temperate land means we previously discussed the region between the subtropics and the polar region, and here we see that the Europeans first introduced the beverage crops. So, here we see that tea and coffee are not annual crops, so that means it doesn't bear fruit annually. So it takes about 3 to 5 years to bear fruit after sowing. So it takes a long time or period after sowing. But once they are start bearing fruit, they continue to do so for 30 to 50 years. So here we see that it takes a long time to bear fruit, but after it started bearing fruit, it continues for a long period to bear fruits. These crops cover small area in India but have high economical value. So what do you mean by high economical value? So as we know that it is a commercial crop and it has a high demand in the market. So that's why it is called as the high economical value. So there are two factors that are needed for the plantation of the beverage crops. So that are the heavy capital investment and high level of technology. These are the two factors that are needed for this type of plantation. Now, the first beverage crop that we are going to discuss is tea. So here we see that tea is a dried leaf of a tropical bush. So from the tropical bushes, the tea is mainly the dried leaves which is native of the Yunnan Plateau region in the southern China. So here we see that the tea is mainly grown in the Yunnan Plateau region of the southern China. So it is called as the native of this region. However, the tea bush also grew wild on the high slope of the Upper Assam. So, Upper Assam means in the hilly regions of the Assam. In 1840, the tea seeds were imported from China and the plantation is set up by the Europeans in the Brahmaputra Valley. So, after it being imported from the China to India, the Europeans were the first to cultivate the tea in the Brahmaputra Valley. Later on, the tree plantation were also set up in the Nilgiri Hills and the Kangra Hills. So, after the Brahmaputra Valley, the other two regions that are set up this type of plantation is Nilgiri Hill and the Kangra Hill. Now, we are going to discuss about the type of teas that are present in the world, that are mainly of three types. So, what are the three types of teas? That are black tea, green tea and oolong tea. Now we are going to discuss it one by one. That is, first comes the black tea. It is a typical of India and Sri Lanka. Typical of India and Sri Lanka means it is typically grown in India and Sri Lanka, and it is the best suited for the commercial production due to its large leaves. So it is mainly cultivated for the commercial purpose. As it has a dry leaves, it have a high economical value. To prepare the black tea, the leaves are the first dried in the sun, rolled and then fermented. So what are the steps to be followed? The first is the leaves is dried in the sun. Next it is rolled, and after this it is fermented. Now the green tea. Green tea are mainly typical to China and Japan. So mainly it is grown in China and Japan. It has a smaller leaves than the black tea, and it is not fermented. So it is not going through the process of fermentation. After this, the oolong tea. Oolong tea is typically of China and Japan. So here we see that the green tea and the oolong tea are both typical to the region of China and Japan. It is made by fermenting the leaves partially. Partially means at a one time one part is done. So here we see that both the tea, black tea and the oolong tea are fermented, but the green tea is not fermented. A number of hybrid varieties have been developed. So hybrid varieties means we know that the HYV plants have been developed by mixing the Chinese and the Indian varieties of the tea plants. In general, the tea grown in the higher elevation tastes well and gives flavor. So here from this part we know that the teas that are grown in the higher elevation have a better taste and gives a better flavor also. After all this introduction about the tea, we are going to discuss about the condition. So it is an important part for the tea cultivation or the tea plantation. Now the tea is an evergreen plant. So what do you mean by evergreen plant? So it doesn't shed their leaves, which are evergreen throughout the year. It grows both in tropical and subtropical regions. So tropical means from 0 degree to the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn, and the subtropical region means the latitudes of tropics to the polar region. Now here the tea plant grows well in the hot and humid climate. Actually, there is an intimate relation between the climate, yield per hectare, and the quality of the tea. So, these are the factors that are interrelated with each other. So, as we know previously that the quality of tea and the flavor of the tea is mainly dependent on the high elevation and also the climatic reasons. So now we are going to discuss about the conditions that are preferable for the cultivation of tea. So firstly here comes the temperature. The temperature must be 20 degree to 30 degrees Celsius. So as we know it prefers the hot and humid climate. So the temperature must be between 20 degree to 30 degrees Celsius. Now the rainfall must be 150 to 250 centimeters. So here we see that heavy rainfall is preferred by the cultivation of the tea, and it should be well distributed throughout the year and in forms of frequent shower. So well distributed means it needed frequent shower throughout the year. The next condition that is needed for the cultivation of the tea is high humidity. So as we know that many crops doesn't prefer the high humidity, but the cultivation of tea prefers high humidity with heavy dew and morning fog that favors the growth of young leaves on the tea bushes. So after this here we see that the tea bush is a shade loving plant. So what does it mean? So it means that it doesn't grow in hot and sunny weather or the sunny region. It is mainly lovable with the shade type of region. they should be planted in a row of shady trees. So where the cultivation of the tea is taken, there should be planted a high raised tree that causes shade to the lower region or the plantation of the teas. In the next point, we are going to see that the soil type that is needed for the cultivation of tea. So here we see that the tea bush grows well in the well drained, deep fertile, sandy, loamy soil. So here we see that the stagnant water is not preferable by the tea cultivation also. So that's why it is done in the hilly region. So for that, the deep fertile loamy soil is preferable to the this type of plantation, and the fertilizer that is needed is mainly the nitrogenous fertilizer, and which help in increasing the yield per hectare. Now the root of the trees, as we know before that the root of the trees does not tolerate the stagnant water, so for that reason it is mainly grown in the hilly slopes. So as the tea leaves are picked by hand, cheap skilled labor and abundant supply of labor is important. The tea is a labor intensive crop. So here we see that if the plucking of the tea leaves are mainly done by hand, so for that reason it is called as the labor intensive crop, which provide direct employment to the million of workers, and out of which 50% are women. So if we go to the any hilly area and in the tea garden, we see mainly the women are working there and they plucking the tea leaves. So in the tea garden mainly the women worker are works there. The tea industry is one of the largest employer of the women among the organized industry in India. So let's again revise the conditions that are needed for the cultivation of tea, that are the temperature should be 20 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius, the heavy rainfall should be 150 centimeter to 250 centimeter, and it is well distributed with a frequent shower. So next one is the high humidity with heavy dew, morning fog, and the tea bushes are mainly the shade loving plant. So for that reason the tea plants are grows with the high raised trees. So next one is the nitrogenous fertilizer is needed for the cultivation of this type of teas. So the next one is the root cannot tolerate the stagnant water, so it is mainly grown in the hilly slope region. The teas are mainly picked by hands, so for that reason labor it is called as the labor intensive crop, and for that reason also the abundant supply of labor is needed. The tea cultivation is mainly get employment to the 1 million of workers, among which 50% are the women. So these are the conditions that are needed for the cultivation of the plant. Now we are going to discuss about the method of the tea cultivation. So first we are discussing it one by one. So the first method that we are going to discuss is sowing. In the sowing, the seeds are first planted in a raised nursery bed. After 1 year, it is planted. When it reaches about 20 centimeter, the sapling are transplanted in the main garden. So here we see it is firstly planted in a nursery bed, after which after 1 year it takes 1 year to grow to a height of 20 centimeter. So when it is grown to a height of this centimeter 20 centimeter, it is transplanted to the main garden. After this they are arranged in a row about 1 meter apart. Above 8,000 tree bushes are sown in 1 hectare. So here we see that about 8,000 tea bushes are only sown in 1 hectare of land. Nowadays, cutting of high yield plants are also used in the place of seed. So this type of method is mainly known as cloning method. So what is done in the cloning method? The cutting from the tea plant. So the tea plant is mainly known as mother plant. From the mother plant, the stems are cutted and planted in the field. So in this method, the yield per hectare is very high and it gets the superior quality of tea. So for this reason, this method is very best for the method of cultivation among the method of tea cultivation. So here the next one is pruning. If a tea bush is allowed to grow fully, it can reach a height of about 10 meters. However, the bush is constantly pruned to maintain a height of 1 to 1.5 meter. This helps not only in picking but also to the growth of new shoots bearing soft and tender leaves. So here we see that if the trees can grow to a height of 10 meters, so the pruning process is mainly done to maintain the height of the tea bushes, that is 1 to 1.5 meters, and it helps in picking and also in the growing of the new shoots with bearing the soft and the tender leaves. So here we see that mainly the soft and tender leaves are to be plucked. So for that reason, pruning process is mainly done. Pruning also helps in maintaining the shape of the tea bushes. In India, pruning is mostly done once in 2 or 3 years. So here we see for a long period of time it is only done once in 2 or 3 years. So the next process that comes here is picking, and picking is a skillful job that need patience and judgment. So why we can say that picking is a work of patience and judgment, because in this picking process mainly the two tender leaves and a bud are usually plucked, and which need patience and judgment. For that reason, these two experiences are needed in the process of picking. So here we see that the first picking can be done at the end of the third year after the plantation, but the tea bushes is mainly fully ready in the after 5 years. The picking process is more frequent in India than China and Japan. So here we see that in India at the lower elevation the picking process is done every 10 days during the growing season, and in the higher elevation it is mostly done after every 15 days. So in the lower elevation it is done frequently after the 10 days, and in the higher elevation after every 15 days. Now, on average, there are about 15 to 20 picking in a year. A skilled picker can pluck about 50 kgs of tea leaves in one day. So, this is a very large amount of plucking, and only one person can done 50 kgs of tea in one day. Plucking is done manually. So as we know that this process is mainly done by hands. So for that reason it is called as this process is mainly taken place manually. Now the next process is the processing. Almost every tea plantation has a processing unit. So what does it means? It means that in this process the teas are mainly goes through various processes where it cleans, it dries, and it mainly at last packing. According to the traditional method, the processing of the tea leaves has to pass through the following stages. So, first one is withering. So, what do you mean by withering? The fresh tree leaves are spread very thin in a bamboo tray. The hot air is blown over these trays to reduce the excessive moisture from the tea leaves, and this makes the tea leaves soft. This is called weathering. So it is done mainly by the traditional method, and today in nowadays these process are mainly taken in the factories, on which in the place of bamboo it is mainly done with a special weathering vents in which are stringed with wires and grid and ventilated with the large fans. So now after this we are going to discuss about the curling method. So in this curling method the soft leaves are pressed through the steel rollers. The leaves are twisted to break the fibers and bring out the natural juice in them. So in this curling process, we see here that the soft leaves are pressed by the steel rollers, which causes the breaks in fiber of the leaves and which brings out the natural juice in them. After the curling process, it takes apart to the fermenting process. After the curling, the leaves are spread out and in a clean sheet under controlled temperature and humidity. So, it is put to a room where the temperature and humidity is controlled and it is spread in the clean sheet. After the fermenting process, the leaves become black in color and also it changes color to the copper red color. The fermented leaves are dried by passing them through an oven. Now this became a black tea. So when the leaves are passing through the oven, it becomes change its color and becomes a black tea. The last process is the dried leaves are sorted according to the size and then blended accordingly. So why the blending process is important? The aims of blending the tea is to create a well balanced flavor using different origin and character, and which tastes same and better with every cup of tea. So after this, we are going to study about a new thing, that is CTC machine. Nowadays these machines are widely used for the processing of the tea leaves. So what is the full form of CTC? CTC is mean by crushing, tearing and curling. So as we know that about the curling process, in this method CTC, the crushing and tearing of the leaves are also occurred. This machine combine all the stages of the tea processing in one. So here we, in the traditional method, all the steps are taken place one by one, but in the CTC machine all the processes are combined and all the stages are done in one processing period. The tea grown in the different garden and in the different climate and soil condition have different flavors. So here we see, previously we know that there is an interrelation between the climate and high yield per hectare and also the quality of the tea. So here the different type of garden yields a different type of flavored tea with different climatic condition and also the soil condition. Now the various type of teas are tasted and blended to ensure the consistency of the flavor. So as we previously discussed there, that the blending process is mainly done for the consistency of the flavor. So after this we are going to discuss about the production of the teas in India. So where the teas are mostly grown and in which area. Here we are going to discuss about the introduction of the tea in India, which means the history of the tea. So let's see. The tea cultivation started in India in the middle of the 19th century in Assam. It has shown steady progress right from the beginning. At present, the total annual production of the tea is about 10 lakh tons from about 6 lakh hectare of the land. So here we see that the yield per hectare production is very much high in the case of tea. The average yield is about 1750 kgs per hectare. In 1950 to 51, the tea garden covered about 3 lakh hectare, producing only 2.6 lakh tons of tea annually. So here in the year of 1950 to 51, the yield per hectare is low. The yield of the teas was about 860 kgs per hectare. But at present, India is the second producer of the tea in the world next to China. So China comes first and after this second is India. It contributes about 22% of the world tea production. So in the world total production of the tea, India contributes 22% of it. So now we are going to discuss about the areas of tea production. So in the case of tea production, India is divided into three parts, that is northeastern, southern and the northwestern part. So we are going to discuss it one by one, before which we are going to know that the areas that is under the tea cultivation is about 3 lakh hectare in 1950 to 1951 and in 6 lakh hectare in 2013 and 14. So here we see that there is a vast increase in the hectare of lands under tea cultivation. So now first here we comes that the northeastern part of India. So in the northeastern part of India, Assam and West Bengal are the main producing areas, in which accounts about 75% of the area. So the tea plantations are also known as the tea garden, and they are occurred in fairly large areas and all, but they are small in numbers. So here we are going to discuss about the states of Northeast India, that are Assam and West Bengal. So firstly the Assam is the largest producer of the tea, which accounts about 52% of the area is under tea cultivation. In Assam, the two main areas where the tea cultivation is taken place is Brahmaputra Valley and the Surma Valley. So, the Brahmaputra Valley in Assam and the Surma Valley in Assam are the two most important regions of Assam. Now we are going to learn about these two valleys, that is Brahmaputra Valley and the Surma Valley. In the Brahmaputra Valley, they are extending from Sodia to Golpara, and about 700 tea gardens, mainly in the district of Dibrugarh, Sibsagar, Lakhimpur, Darang, Kamrup, Nagaon, Golpara. These are the main districts that are present in the Brahmaputra Valley. The Surma Valley, lying in the Kachar district, produces 5% of the country's tea. In this valley, the tea gardens are scattered over small mounds called tilas. So, the small mound which are called tilas, in which the tea garden are scattered in every valleys in small amount. Now, the West Bengal. West Bengal is the second largest producer, contributing about 23% of the India's tea. So, first comes Assam and then comes second West Bengal, that is with the 23% of yield. The main producing district in the northern part of the West Bengal are Darjeeling, Jalpaiguri, Coach Bihar. These are the areas for the main tea belt. This area is contiguous to the main tea belt in Assam. So what does the word contiguous means? Contiguous means sharing a common border. So here we see that these states sharing a common border with the main tea belts of Assam. Now the main areas of West Bengal where the cultivation of the tea takes place are Duars and the Darjeeling. So these are the two regions in West Bengal. So here we see that in Duars in Coach Bihar Jalpaiguri district is a widespread at the foot of the Himalaya, and the tea estate are up to the height of 900 to 1200 meters. So in the high elevation area of about 900 meter to 1200 meters, the estate of the teas are spread there. In Darjeeling district is well known for all over the world its superior quality of the aromatic tea. So we all know that the Darjeeling tea is most famous in all over India and also in the world, and it is possible to increase the land under the tea garden, but about 22%. The yield per hectare are low. Some tea gardens in the northeastern India are Tripura, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, etc. So these are the northeastern part of India in which the tea cultivation takes place. Now we are going to know about the South Indian part. In South India, the mainly producing areas are Nilgiri, Cardamom, Palni, Anaimalai Hill in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka state. So these are the areas of South India where the cultivation of the tea takes place, and it accounts about 25% of the tea from about 44% of tea under cultivation. So this region produces about 25% of the tea from about 44% of the area under tea cultivation. So from 44% of the area, 25% of the tea is produced. The tea garden is mostly located on the hill slope on the western ghat, and the tea garden are small in size but large in number. So in the previous part, that is in the southeastern part, we all know that the areas are very big but in small in number, but in South India the areas are small but in large number of areas. The production is on the higher side as this is the frost free region. So we know that to any type of crop, frost is harmful. So in this region, in the higher altitudes, the region are mainly frost free. So there is taken place the production of the tea, cultivation of the tea. Next one, the states that are producing the tea in the South India. So first comes the Tamil Nadu. It is the largest producer of tea in South India. The Nilgiri Vanand garden produces the superior quality of tea which has a great demand in Europe and Russia. So here we can say that Tamil Nadu teas are also exported to Russia and the other European countries. The Kerala is the fourth largest producer of tea in India, and the main tea producing district is Kottayam, Kollam and Thiruvananthapuram. Some tea is also produced in Hassan and Chikkamangaluru district in Karnataka. So in Karnataka, Hassan and Chikkamangaluru is the two districts where the teas are cultivated. The state gives the highest yield of the tea per hectare. Now we are going to see about the northwestern part. The small quantity of the tea is also produced in Uttarakhand. So here we see in the northwestern part, not much of the state are engaging in this tea cultivation because here is the climate is not suitable for this type of cultivation. So now the small quantity of the tea is produced in Uttarakhand, Dehradun, Almora, Garhwal, and Himachal Pradesh, Kangra and Mandi district, and green tea is mostly produced in the Kangra valley. So after this we are going to discuss about the export and the import condition of tea in India. India has been one of the leading exporter of tea in the world, but in at least 2 decades export have been declined due to first increasing domestic consumption and tough competition from the other tea exporting countries in the world such as China, Sri Lanka, Japan, Vietnam, Indonesia and Kenya. So here we see that the two causes for the decline in the export of India, that are fast increasing of domestic consumption. So which means the production of the tea is consumed by India itself, and also the competition with the other countries that are China, Sri Lanka, with Japan, Vietnam, Indonesia and Kenya. In 2012 to 13, India exported about 270,000 tons of tea to as many as 80 countries. So, the name of the main importers of tea that are, which means the India export tea to these countries. So, which are Russia, UK, USA, Germany, Australia, Ireland, Afghanistan, Sudan, Iran, Iraq and Egypt, etc. So these are the states that import tea from India. If India want to increase the production and thereby increase export after meeting increasing domestic need, so which means the demand in India itself, after meeting the demand of India, it has to increase the production. So that's why that takes place the increase in the export also. There is an urgent need to replace the old bush with the new plant, and the prospect of acquiring new areas for expanding tree plantation are extremely bleak. So what does the extremely bleak means? So in the tea plantation or the expanding of the areas for the tea plantation are very less or very neglected to the increasing of the cultivation. Now here we see that Kolkata is the main port for the export of the tea, and the other ports of South India are Chennai, Mangaluru, Kochi, etc. So here we covered the first beverage crop, that is tea. So in the next class we are going to discuss about the second beverage crop, that is coffee. So that's all for today. Thank you.